Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another episode of my series, A Year in the Garden, a Week at a Time. We are 2 to 3 weeks before last frost date. So for those of you who are new here, I am in southeastern Wisconsin, zone 5A. I'm near Milwaukee, and our average last frost date is May 11th, but I push mine out until somewhere between the 20th and the 25th because we almost always get frost sometime between May 11th and Memorial Day weekend. So I'm not going to be planting until after, I think it's May 22nd this year. So that's what I'm calling my average last frost date. So I wanted to film this before I got all red-faced because it's hot out, but I'm too late. I've already been doing a bunch of chores outside and it's hot out. So I don't know how much filming I'm going to get done today because it's supposed to be very windy today, and I don't feel like dragging out my microphone, and even if I do, you'll still hear the wind. So excuse any wind noise that you hear in the camera. So 2 to 3 weeks before last frost date. I'm filming this on a Sunday, and I took a couple days off from working in the garden. I just did some weeding and stuff like that. We have not had any rain here in since my last video anyway, and before that we hadn't had any rain, so it's really dry. We're under a very high fire warning here, severe drought conditions, and I'm a little hesitant to put anything in the garden because I'm going to have to water it. I mean, eventually I'm going to do it. So one of the things I need to do is work on my irrigation system because I have not run that yet, and I want to make sure that all the connections are real solid and that it will hold the pressure. So I want to do that. And I also want to get some seeds started. I want to start my cucumbers. I want to start my like cantaloupe. I'm not going to do any watermelon this year. I'm not going to do any pumpkins or squash, vining squash. I will do zucchini. I want to get those started. I want to, what else do I need? My basil I need to get planted. I haven't planted that yet. I'm going to put some sunflowers out in the garden, put some seeds out there, see if they germinate. We'll see. What else? I have to replant radishes and carrots because my dog Macy got in the bed and dug it up. So I have to go in there and replant that. So yeah, let's see what we get done today. Okay, so it's really hot today, but the nights have been quite cool, like at low 40s. And I've said this before. I use this radiator. It's an oil-filled radiator in my greenhouse, and it keeps it at a really good temperature. Here's a clip that I took a couple days ago. So it is 42 degrees out this morning. I have a temperature sensor outside the house. It's not really 75 in my house. And in the greenhouse, it is 52 degrees. So let me show you how I achieve that. So as you can see, it raises the temperature in the greenhouse enough that I don't have to be carting my tomatoes and peppers in and out of the greenhouse time after time after time, because going up and down the stairs, man, I'm getting too old for that. So I use this oil-filled radiator. I put it on the lowest heat setting here, and then I put it on low, and it's perfectly fine. It does a really good job of keeping this greenhouse warm enough so that my peppers and tomatoes don't feel the shock. So that's a tip. Now if you don't have a greenhouse, you could do the same thing. You could put it in a shed, like just a different shed. Like I've got this one here, that shed. So you could put all your stuff in a shed overnight and put this on, and it would keep it warm enough so you didn't have to cart everything in and out, because that's my biggest complaint this time of year, is how much I bring the plants in and outside. So I can't remember how much it was. I'll look it up and put the price on the screen. I bought this years ago, like probably 15 years ago, and it still works great. So that's how I keep my greenhouse warm at night. Okay, here's what I'm planting today. The only melon I'm going to do is this Italian cantaloupe. I can't remember what it's called. I saved the seeds a couple years ago, and it's really, really good cantaloupe. Really sweet, good size, not real big, just perfect for me. So I'm going to be planting that. I'm going to plant some basil. I've got 4 different kinds here, so I'm going to plant those. I'm going to do bush beans. I don't like pole beans, I like bush beans. So I'm doing a Serengeti and this tender green improved. Serengeti is like a French style haricot bean, and then this is just a regular green bean. And then I have my inoculant here, so I'll use that. I'm going to try to grow some celery because my celery never grew, so I'm hoping it'll grow now. So I'll do a couple different kinds of celery. I'm going to do another round of dill. So this is the dill here that I ended up planting. I need to plant some lettuce in my little bed. This one. Right there. That bed. So these are the lettuces I'm going to be planting in there. Zucchini, I've got 4 different varieties here. This is a new one for me. This is a vining zucchini. This is a tromboncino, which is like a trombetta squash. It has a really long neck and a little tiny like bulb at the end of it. So I am going to be planting. That's a new one for me. These ones are not. Spineless Perfection, Green Machine, and Green Bush. The one thing I like about this Green Bush zucchini is it's a late producer. So these will all produce first. I don't know about the trombetta, but these will all produce first, and then this one will produce. So I kind of like that. I'm just going to throw these radish mixes into the garden, along with 4 different kinds of carrots, Adelaide, the Kyoto Red, what's this one? Rainbow. I love the rainbow mix. And this one is Amarillo. I'm going to do a couple sunflowers here. And then for cucumbers, my favorite cucumber from last year is this one called Summer Dance. Early producer, very prolific plants. So I'm going to plant that one again, but it's done early. So then I'm also, this is another one of my favorites, is Japanese long cucumber. Very sweet and mild, just like it says. It does have a tough skin on it though, so I usually end up peeling it. But it's just so good, and you get huge cucumbers off of it. Alibi is a hybrid. Another, it's like those, you know those Persian ones that you see in the store? That's what that one's like, along with the Piccolino. This is a new one for me, Heike. Here's another Piccolino. Burpless, I decided to pick a Burpless. And then a Boston Pickling. So those are the cucumbers that I'm going to do. And that is everything that I have to start this time around. So here's all my plants that I started this winter. I've got them all together because it's so windy and they can help hold each other up. Flowers here, here, and here, and here. And then I've got some herbs in here. Peppers here along with tomatoes. These I might end up taking out of the sun. They don't look like they're doing so well. lots of tomatoes, lots of peppers. I'm going to be having a plant sale, so I overproduced in all my vegetables. And then these I have to get in the ground today. These are my, what is this? This is broccoli, this is cabbage, more broccoli, more broccoli, more cabbage, kohlrabi, and more cabbage. So I've got lots to choose from. Whatever I don't use, my girlfriend Colleen is going to be taking those. So I've got this is my bay laurel out here, and then my overwinter peppers. These are the saddest group of peppers I've ever seen. It's just so sad. But this is their first day outside. I have them on the north side of the house here, so they're not really getting much sun at all, just to start getting them accustomed to being outside, to get them hardened off. But I didn't want to have to keep them downstairs in the basement any longer. As a matter of fact, I'm going to move this so it's not in the sun. There we go. So these will be, even in the shade, they're probably getting more light than they were under the grow lights downstairs. So I'll slowly bring these outside a little bit every day. They'll go in the garage at night. So I think I'm going to end up trimming them because they're growing weird. I mean, look at the leaves are all like curled and stuff. So I need to get them fertilized really well and trimmed, and then slowly hardened off, and they'll be ready to go back in the garden. Let me take you on a little tour here and show you what I got done today. This is my lettuce bed. I usually fill it with cut and come again lettuce and green onions. So I planted 3 rows here of a butter crunch lettuce. So I'm going to be using it as a cut and come again lettuce. Over here I have my beans planted, 2 different kinds of beans. And these are cucumbers, basil, cantaloupe, and zucchini. And then in here I have sunflowers planted. In this bed, this is a 4-foot by 4-foot bed. I have broccoli planted. This row and this row are a mini broccoli, and this row is a regular size broccoli. Now, I have never been able to grow broccoli because it always bolts before I get a full head on it. So we'll see. This broccoli was started in the winter sowing containers, so I'm hoping that that gave it a jump, a little head start, and it will mature before it bolts. In this bed, this is where I have my elecampane. I took out a bunch of that elecampane. I have cabbage. 1 cabbage here. 1 cabbage here. This is a break in my irrigation line. I have to replace that. And 1 cabbage here. And then on the end of my in-ground garden, I have more cabbage. These are all like mini style cabbage. This one is called a 0.1, which is a conical shaped cabbage. And this one here is just called mini cabbage. So these get to be a little bit like the size of a softball, these ones. And these ones are the size of a softball with a point on the end of it. So they worked very well here last year. I'm gonna grow them here again. Okay, so that'll do it for this episode of Sharon's Home and Garden. If you like what you saw here, don't forget to click on that subscribe button. And until next week, happy gardening, everybody. Bye-bye.